We've all been there. You're having a conversation and it takes a turn. The person you're talking to gets angry or shuts down. It's frustrating, right? Not everyone communicates the same way. Some people struggle to express themselves. Sometimes it's a sign of deeper issues. Patterns of behavior can cause real problems. Approach with empathy and understanding. You can't fix what you don't understand. Personality disorders, mental health conditions, and poor communication skills can all play a role. Understand the route to communicate effectively. We all want to be heard, understood, and respected. Let's talk about personality disorders. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not a licensed therapist. Diagnosing someone is way above my pay grade. But it's important to be aware of how personality disorders can affect communication. One example is narcissistic personality disorder. Folks with this disorder often have a grandiose sense of self-importance. They crave admiration and lack empathy. In conversation, this can look like dominating the conversation, interrupting or getting angry when they're not the center of attention. Then there's borderline personality disorder. This one is characterized by intense emotions, fear of abandonment, and difficulty regulating emotions. Communication can be a roller coaster. They might be open and engaging one minute, then angry and withdrawn the next. Finally, let's talk about antisocial personality disorder. People with this disorder often disregard social norms and the rights of others. They can be manipulative, deceitful, and aggressive. Communication can be a tool to get what they want, with little regard for the other person's feelings. It's important to remember that these are just a few examples. There are many other personality disorders, each with its own unique set of challenges. The key takeaway here is that personality disorders can significantly impact how someone communicates and interacts with the world around them. Now, let's shift gears and talk about mental health conditions. Just like physical health, mental health plays a huge role in our ability to communicate effectively. When we're struggling mentally, it can feel like we're trying to communicate through a wall. Anxiety disorders are a prime example. Conversations can become overwhelming. You might overthink everything you say, worrying about judgment, or miss what the other person is saying. Mood disorders like bipolar disorder can also affect communication. Imagine trying to talk during extreme highs and lows. During depressive episodes, communication might feel impossible. During manic episodes, communication might be rapid and impulsive. Again, I can't stress this enough. I'm not a doctor. If you're concerned about your mental health, please seek professional help. There's no shame in asking for help. In fact, it's one of the bravest things you can do. Section 4. The role of communication skills in conflicts. Sometimes, the root of communication problems isn't a mental health condition or personality disorder. Sometimes it's just plain old, poor communication skills. It's like trying to build a house without knowing how to use a hammer and nails. You might have the best intentions, but the end result is going to be messy. One common culprit is the inability to see things from another person's perspective. It's like we're wearing blinders, focused only on our own thoughts and feelings. This lack of empathy can lead to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and escalating conflicts. Another issue is the way we express ourselves. Some folks struggle to articulate their thoughts and feelings clearly. Others resort to yelling, blaming, or shutting down completely. These unhealthy communication patterns only make things worse. The good news is that communication is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned and improved with practice. It's like learning to play an instrument or speak a new language. It takes time, effort, and patience. But here's the kicker. Even if you're a master communicator, you can't control how others communicate. You can only control your own side of the street. So, what can you do when you're faced with someone who's struggling to communicate effectively? Section 5. Active listening, a key to understanding. One of the most powerful tools in your communication arsenal is active listening. It sounds simple, but in the heat of the moment, it can be tough to do. Active listening means truly tuning in to what the other person is saying. It's about putting your own thoughts aside and trying to understand their perspective. Think of it like this. You're holding up a mirror to the other person, reflecting back their words and emotions. You're showing them that you're listening, you're trying to understand, and you care about what they have to say. Active listening involves a few key ingredients. First, pay attention. Put down your phone, make eye contact, and focus on the speaker. Second, show that you're listening. Nod your head, use verbal cues like "uh-huh" and "I see," and ask clarifying questions. Third, reflect back what you've heard. Paraphrase their words and acknowledge their feelings. This might sound like it sounds like you're feeling frustrated because you feel like you're not being heard. Is that right? By reflecting back their emotions, you're validating their feelings and showing them that you're truly listening. Active listening isn't a magic bullet. It won't solve every communication problem overnight, but it's a powerful first step in building understanding and empathy, even in challenging situations. Section 6. Setting boundaries for healthy interactions. Now, here's the hard truth. You can't control other people's behavior. You can't force someone to communicate effectively or treat you with respect. But what you can control are your own boundaries. Boundaries are like invisible fences we build around ourselves to protect our emotional well-being. They define what we will and will not accept from others. Setting boundaries is especially important when you're dealing with someone who's prone to anger, outbursts, or disrespectful communication. You have the right to protect yourself from emotional abuse and manipulation. Setting boundaries means clearly communicating your limits. This might sound like, "I am not comfortable with yelling. If you continue to raise your voice, I'm going to end this conversation." Or, "I'm not going to tolerate name-calling or insults. If that continues, I'm going to walk away." Enforcing boundaries means following through with consequences. If someone violates your boundaries, you need to be prepared to walk away from the conversation, leave the room, or even end the relationship. Setting boundaries isn't about being mean or controlling. It's about protecting yourself and creating a safe space for healthy communication. Section 7. Seeking professional help when needed. We've covered a lot of ground here: personality disorders, mental health conditions, communication skills, active listening, and setting boundaries. It can feel overwhelming, right? Here's the thing, you don't have to navigate this alone. If you're struggling to communicate with someone, or if you're concerned about their mental health, please reach out for professional help. A therapist can provide a safe and confidential space for individuals to work through their challenges. They can teach coping mechanisms, improve communication skills, and address underlying mental health conditions. There's no shame in seeking help. In fact, it's a sign of strength and self-awareness. It means you're willing to do the work to improve your relationships and your overall well-being. Remember, communication is a two-way street. It takes effort, empathy, and a willingness to understand. By learning effective communication strategies and seeking professional help when needed, we can build stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling relationships.